Okay, welcome back. In this video, let's talk about how to fix that takeaway move that gets too quickly to the inside, gets the club off plane, and really causes a lot of trouble in the downswing as well. This tip today will also help you with your pitch shots, because if you can get that takeaway right, a lot of times the pitch shots improve as well. Bad pitchers of the ball tend to get the club off plane or out of position very quickly off the ball. So this tip will really help you with that. Obviously, right off the bat, you saw from the title, giving props to Pete Cowen, one of the best golf coaches that's ever lived, and really talking about how he grips the club and how he encourages his players to have hands working together as a unit to keep that club face under control. All right, so let's get into it. Well, working on the takeaway is something that's very common in a lot of my lessons. Players tend to get that club working around the body too quickly. Club gets out of plane here, it gets up across the line. Who knows where it comes down? Over the top, under the plane, you name it. A lot of times they use something like this, like a double barrier, to have someone learn the feeling of getting that club working its way directly back here on the takeaway, then hinging up on plane, and from there, getting the downswing back through the barriers, on through the fall through. So very effective. However, once you take the barrier away, if someone doesn't have the basics of how to control this club face and the shaft, they're just going to go right back to typically knocking over this barrier on this side, flips it down, keep resetting it. So in order to avoid that, we want to make sure you know how to get these hands working together. The only real way to control that club face is to really talk about what Pete Cowen talks about when he talks about how the hands work against one another. They have a movement where you have the left working toward the right toward the left. That controls the shaft, controls the club face, and keeps the club from whipping to the inside. When I was a kid learning golf, we used to practice flop shots by the hour. Flop shots, you can sort of get that club in a different position, overcock your wrists, have extra dominance in one hand or the other, and simply take the right hand and sling it under the ball, shoot the ball straight up into the air, and hit a huge flop shot. You can also be left hand dominant and pull as hard as you want, keep the club face wide open, cut across it, and still hit a high flop shot. But if you're going to talk about controlling the club in the takeaway or controlling an actual pitch shot, a simple pitch where you're just hitting a small swing like this, you cannot be letting one hand dominate massively over the other and still control the club. Now, as you get into working on the takeaway, once your hands are on the club, once again, if you have an over-dominance of one hand or the other, you're going to have trouble. If the left hand is wildly dominant in the backswing, very easy for the club to get rolled too much to this side, going back. Same thing, if you bowl it too much with the right hand, it can easily flip it this direction. You don't see a lot of outside takeaways. There are a few out there, of course, but in general, you tend to have someone over moving this club to the inside, opens the club face. So once you get set up to the ball, if it's going to work properly and you're going to control this club, you want to feel as though the right hand is working toward the left hand is working toward the right hand. If that's all working together, as you move the club away, it's very difficult to go back without having your shoulders, arms, and club work together as a unit. It's important to get that working as a unit to about this position right here. Hands are about opposite my right leg. In the other angle, something like that is where you're going to get it working away, as long as those hands are working towards one another. If you watch Rory McIlroy as he waggles the golf club, very easy to see as he puts his hands on the club and starts to waggle that club. And he starts to get into his pre-shot routine, and he's looking, as he's moving it in those short movements back and forth, you can see that movement, that pressure coming from both sides, creating pressure with the right hand moving toward the left toward the right, the wringing out of the towel, as Pete Cowen talks about it. And you can see McIlroy as he gets in there. He's moving that club like this. It's not a wild waggle motion, but you can tell that thing is under control. And then as he goes back, you can see that club is working together. Everything's working together, rather, and the club is totally under control. That club face is under his control. There's just no moving in the wrong direction. So as you start working on your takeaway, try to determine for yourself, are you a player that gets in and overpowers that backswing with the left arm, rolling it, kind of raise up and roll this way? Is the right hand pulling the club off the other direction to the inside? Chances are, if your right hand is over pressing onto your left, you're going to have an outside takeaway. But that is incredibly rare. That's the rarest takeaway of all, is someone going this direction where that right hand is over twisting this direction. Generally, it's the other way around. So work on that in your takeaway. You need a barrier. If you need something to guide you, this is a simple thing to set up with a couple half noodles and some PVC. Work that club back, keep that pressure. You'll also know too, as you're keeping this pressure together and working the hands together, it increases your grip pressure slightly, which is fine. You don't need to have a completely dead-handed golf swing. You don't need to death grip it either, but working those hands together will create the right amount of pressure. It also starts to engage other muscles in your body, and you'll feel it as you start to move your hands toward one another, how certain muscles in your body start to engage, which feels much more controllable than just flopping around with one hand, dominating the situation. Okay, we'll move the camera around a little bit to show different angles here. This one, it's sort of a quarter angle, but you get the idea of seeing everything working together off the ball. So let's hit a couple pitch shots. Weight on my left, narrower stance, hands working towards one another on that club. It feels like I'm twisting this direction. Hands, and as I do that, you can see that club face is staying outside my hands, or the club head is outside my hands rather. Totally under control. There's no twisting of the club on the way back. Then on the way through, very easy. Also, at this finished position, I still feel at this point when I'm done with the swing that I have those hands twisting towards one another. I'll make a bigger swing now, same feeling. Weight on my left, hands twisted towards one another. Bigger motion. Once again, at the very end, I'm still feeling that movement all the way to the finish of my hands twisting towards one another. So it's twisting at the beginning. I hold that same feeling all the way up and all the way through. And what you'll feel if you're not good at pitching and you feel like you're too wristy and flopping around is you will feel like you have less wrist hinge in the backswing, and the club will be much more under control throughout. And because I grew up as that flop shot guy and always being super wristy, very hard for me to keep the wrist out of a golf swing period, let alone with a short shot. This feel will do it. This will keep the wrist under control and, of course, keep that club face and club head under control as well. Okay, back to more of a down the line view. And once again, continue to give props to Pete Cowen because love what he teaches and love how his mind works for golf. And one thing he talks a lot about is once a golf club gets moving up into the air, where is it trying to go as you change direction? It's trying to fall backward because it's already tilted on this direction. So since it's trying to fall that direction, if the trail arm or your right arm as a right-hander is not countering against the left, it's very easy for that club to drop off plane. So from this angle for the same pitch shot as it's going back, because I have pressure working with the hand this direction, the club and shaft are trying to move this way and are resisting falling with gravity back the other direction. So as I swing it under control, it's very easy to control that club and keep it under control. Once again, my grip pressure has to increase some to keep that club under control. Don't worry about squeezing a little tighter than you might normally squeeze it. That will help you keep it under control. And then lastly, if we talk about the full swing, working on your takeaway move, and once again, if you've got some barriers here, you could put a water bottle here, whatever you might want. As you go up, keeping that under control with the countering grip pressure, that club's going to work up on plane. And look at that club face position. It's staying in a very square position on the way up. I'm not allowing it to break and move backward this way with an open face. I'm simply moving it all together, keeping that counter pressure all the way up. As I come down into this position here, once again, club face is squaring off nicely, parallel to my spine angle. Into impact here, right on through, and controlling that club. Now with the barriers removed, let's hit a couple shots here. There's that takeaway on plane, counter feel on the countering the wrists all the way through. And I'm certainly not immune from my club getting inside off the takeaway. But this does help me at least keep the club up on plane. And gives me the sense that I'm in control of this club. I'm in control of the grip, the shaft, the club face throughout the swing. From this front view, once again, as it goes up, that move right there is the one you're trying to figure out. And it's very easy to let off this backhand, the pressure coming this way. That thing goes to the inside and it's all over. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you like the video, please hit that like button. And if you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.